Welcome back to Health, Love, and Hot Topics. I am your host, always doing the most. I am Bronze Beauty. Yes, yes, yes. So glad you joined me tonight. This is the place to be with me here on GKI Radio. It is November, and so it's almost time for those coats, hats, gloves, you name it. We're here in Florida, and so the weather might not do what it do, baby. Who knows? But Bronze missed the hometown of Florida, or I would say the hometown of Texas. Sometimes. I wish I could layer up, but not. I like this constant sunny state of Florida. For everything, there is a season. Tonight, I have a very special guest coming to talk to us. Our young ladies, men, about different types of segments. Our lives are at stake daily, sometimes based on decisions and sometimes not our choice. Tonight, we will be sex trafficking, domestic violence, online dating, teen dating violence, crime against women and girls. We got the spread for you, and you don't want to miss this tonight, honey. Before we get into all that, I want to first take the opportunity to acknowledge my Father and Savior up above, our author and finisher of everything. Secondly, my diamonds, yes, I love you all for continuing to shine and joining me every Monday night here on GKI Radio. For the man who keeps the station going and in check, let's give it up for our main man, God King Images. Yes. Well, it's that time to take a very quick commercial break. Keep shining, keep chiming. We'll be right back. You heard me? All right, now tonight joining me from, I would say, a native from Columbia, South Carolina, 30 plus years of law enforcement veteran, first female deputy of the year. Yes, honey. First and the youngest, most gorgeous internal affairs inspector. This lady is tough and definitely highly informed on juvenile crimes, violence against women, gang-related crimes in our communities. Without further ado, I want to welcome, please show her some love, investigator Chanara Cleveland.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, yes, yes. Let me tell you, that's why I say everybody need to show us some love because you told me you're an investigator, so they want to make sure that all their background is in check.
And I tell you, don't be scared of what I'm going to be looking into because I only look into backgrounds that are need to be looked into.
I know that's right. Well, guess what? Investigator Cleveland, we're going to get right on into this thing. Your past
Okay.
and present speaks for itself. Give us a little bit about that.
Well, I grew up in the projects. Started out, and my mom had 7 kids. I was the baby girl, 6 girls and 1 boy. I became a professional model at a young age, went away, had a lot of modeling contracts, went to Los Angeles, stayed there until I was 27. Then I returned back home to help take care of my mother. And it was then when I got into law enforcement because I lived next door to an undercover agent and I was doing some of the snooping and undercover details for him. And I decided, why not be in law enforcement? And I was met with a challenge that wasn't welcome, of course. Back then, they weren't used to having females on the road. So I had to make a name for myself, and I had no problem with doing that.
You have done it well. And with that being said, I want you to tell us how you specialize in all those areas that I've mentioned above when it comes to victims of crime.
Well, with starting my own private investigations and bodyguard service, I knew one of the first things that I had to do was have something with women and girls in mind. Because during my law enforcement career, I saw that a lot of women were victimized over and over again, and no one took the time to tell them or explain the laws to them that was available for them to seek help and not stay in that violent environment until death or harm comes to them. So when I saw that on the road that it was helping, when I gave them the plan and they were leaving successfully, I just knew that I had to stay with this mission of enabling women and girls to learn how to protect themselves. And so, specializing in sex trafficking and all of that came exactly after I left the department of where I was a law enforcement officer and started my own. And the first thing that I get is a young girl who come in to be my nighttime supervisor because I still had to work at night rescuing girls or looking for missing girls. And she came in showing everything but her social security number. And so I took her in the back and I said, just one question right quick. Why did you think it was okay for you to come here dressed this way? And she looked at me and her eyes between began to well up. And I said, okay, it's not that serious. I just wanted to ask you that question. And that's when she told me, she said, I'm here in this state, but not on my own free will. I told him I was coming to work now, and I came here for a job interview. And this guy has been prostituting me. I am not even 17 yet. I will be 17 next week. And he's a military guy who said he was going to marry me and brought me here to Fort Jackson. Yet he put me in a hotel right outside of Fort Jackson and had the maintenance man of the hotel to run the crew of men in and out to have sex with her.
Oh my goodness. You got to be kidding me.
Gara, that thing angered me so much. I was just ready to go get him and snatch him a whole new one. And I said, okay, you know what? You never have to go back there again. You will never have to go back there. And she was like, you don't understand. I cannot go back to my family. My mom is a pastor and my dad is a pastor. This guy got her one evening with her changing their board for their church, like changing the name board to say what's going to happen that week at the church. And he would pass by all the time and say, oh, you're so beautiful. Don't tell anyone we're talking. And just kept that whole secret to her. And he intentionally knew what he was prepping her for. And he did exactly what he thought. But
Oh my
yet,
goodness.
again, he didn't get the charges that I was wishing that he got. And that was during a time that my state, or not any other state, was knowing what sex trafficking was. So he just got incorrigibility of a minor, which is a slap on the hand.
Well, guess what? He need to get more than a slap on his hand. He need to get a kick somewhere else for what he
Well,
done.
Tiger never changes its stripes. So he got his. I made sure that he got his.
Now, you mentioned that you are a certified human trafficking investigator. Have you
Yes.
experienced this yourself, or what reasons led you to take on this role?
No, I did not experience sex trafficking myself, but I saw a lot of victims, and all of the victims looked like me. And
Okay.
what I mean by that, they were all African Americans. And not only that, that is still the single most cost of most women and girls who are being abused or sexually assaulted or even sexually exploited. Is that sex trafficking industry and the people who are out here making money on it, legal money, government money, are all people who are over the whole program are white people. Sex trafficking in America is 89 to 89 to 92% African American
Oh my
and
goodness.
brown girls. It's not that many white girls who are victims, fall victim to sex trafficking. But the other negative part of this is that this victimization of sex trafficking and being sold are occurring by men who look like us. That means those are African American men who look just like us, who are creating and making it so hard for our young girls who haven't even had a time at life yet, and victimizing them at such a young age.
That's something else. I tell
And
you, my
so,
own.
that is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I was just thinking. I said, amazing that the statistics in our race is much higher than everyone else. I guess I was almost looking at, because I look at so much forensic files, and
Mhm.
there's not a lot of African Americans on forensic files that get into these
Exactly.
different things, like the sex trafficking, what so have you. So I'm very surprised to hear that that number is as high, that percentage is as high as it is amongst us.
Well, yeah, and in Texas and Los Angeles, they're knocking it 95% of the girls are African American and brown girls. And the reason why this continues to happen, as far as I can see, is that the people who are perpetrating this crime does not get the time that they deserve. So therefore, they keep doing it. And I mean, the victimization, the sexual exploitation is happening right before our eyes. And we, as African American and brown people, are not making our voices loud enough in order to do something about it. And I don't know what's going to change it, but I'm going to keep doing my part.
And that's a good thing. Now, I tell you what, one thing, like I said, the information that you're providing for us is definitely for some young lady to hear. And I think the biggest issue that we do have as mothers, as working mothers, we're too busy. We don't take the time to sit down and speak to our children. My husband has a 4-year-old daughter. Very first
Mhm.
time that I met her, she wanted to take a shower with me. Okay, I'm getting ready to go take a shower. At 4 years old, she may not be mine, but I explained to her right then and there, if this is touch or if this is touch, you let daddy know.
Right.
Okay? Because I think
Mhm.
they need to know even that small. Because I was
You know,
talking to
that is so good that you said that.
yeah.
I was just on a all male mentoring show last night, as an expert speaking to little boys about good touch, bad touch,
Mm.
because that of good touch, bad touch is not spoken of anymore. And these kids are seeing this stuff online way before the parents are ready to have that conversation with them.
Day and time, there's really not how can I say it? There's really not a set age. Back when I was
It,
growing up, it might have been 10, it might have been 12. Now they need to know now. That's why these babies are coming along so fast. And you're wondering, do you keep the baby because you've been, touched inappropriately?
mhm,
Do you just go
mhm.
ahead and make the decision? You know what? It's amazing. I'm going to say again with everything that's going on around us. But let me tell you now, before we go any further, Diamonds, I want to let y'all know that I do have a segment that's going to be coming up. It's extremely important, and it's called Ask Bronze. At any given time, you want to call me 24/7. The number's 407-476-9059. Again, that number's 476, excuse me, 407-476-9059. All you do is get on that line and you ask Bronze. It'll be coming up later on in the show. You state what your name is, where you're from, and any question that you have. If Bronze can't answer, honey, we're going to do our best to get that answer for you. Again, remember, call me anytime. Well, it's time for us to take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, we got some more information for you, for men and for women. Please don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. All right, all right. Welcome back. Y'all still shining? I sure hope so. We're going to dive right on into this. Investigator Cleveland, how or
Yes.
when did you acquire this love and passion to assist victims, ladies, children, and even men, as you stated?
Well, I developed the passion as I saw of working in law enforcement for 22 years. In law enforcement, I saw a lot of things, and a lot of it didn't add up to me. Many people who know me during my law enforcement career, they know that it wasn't a clock that I punched for 12 hours a day of working. If they needed my help after hours, I was available to go to those parents' houses who were having hard times with their girls. And, some of those girls are adults right now, and I really am expecting to have a video with them talking about the things that I did. I would go in and help those parents, especially those single parent mothers who was out working every single day, and their daughters were at home and weren't doing exactly the things that they needed to do. And so after I saw that, it was actually working, these girls are good now. They're managers, they're mothers, and I felt that that was needed. And nowadays, we just don't have enough people who are willing to take on to mentor another young girl. I say quite often that we're always having women's conference.
Oh,
Where's the
yeah.
girls' conference? Why are we having young girls' conference to teach them about being a lady and teach them about the influences of social media? I can't sit here and tell you even more happier that I was to hear the whistleblower talk about the damage that Instagram is doing to young girls. It is it is so hurtful. For years that I have been watching this exploitation go on, and the damaging of girls' self-esteem and their morals and their values by social media, and nobody is doing anything about it. And so I talk a lot to parents about things that they need to do. If you're going to invest in a child getting an almost $2,000 cell phone,
Thank
well,
you.
why don't you, as a parent, invest in security wear to put on that phone before you hand it to your teen? Otherwise, you are sending your child out into website cyberspace to meet all these different people that she is not even ready to meet, to idolize people who don't have good morals or values. And so this thing of a cell phone, it changes a teen 360 degrees 6 months after receiving a cell phone.
And I believe that. Now, she had mentioned that the other day on, when the what is it? We had this situation with the shutdown of WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram, and some people almost lost their mind. You don't
They
even know
did.
if that at that given point in time there could have been another life that was saved.
Exactly. And I was just so happy. I sat up here and I was like, this is what you needed a taste of. You need to know, what if we don't have that anymore? Then what? We as adults, well, I can't say we as adults because some grown women are just as connected to this social media as young kids are. And that is another big topic that I'm seeing a lot of abuse on because of that. And not only abuse but murders on girls who are so-called in social media, what do you call it, social media, I want to give it a good name, so I want to make sure my words, I chew them before spitting them out. That they're social media models, let's say that,
Wow.
that they are social media models, and now some of them have been targeted and killed, and sexually abused, and you just don't see them anymore on social media, and you're wondering what happened to them. And because the person of who I am, I know exactly what happened to them. but it's not my place to tell their story, but I can warn you of stories and things that could happen to you. And that's what I do on a constant basis.
I have a girlfriend from my church. Her daughter was on Facebook at one time, and she was showing her breast, and I'm talking about wide out, open there. And her mother had explained to me, because like I said, we met into the church, and mother explained to me how she was having a difficult time meeting someone. And when I saw that, I wasn't sure, should I tell the mother or should I keep it to myself? And I took it upon myself to tell the mother, and believe it or not, I don't think even today she's really fully forgiven me, but I felt like I did it for a good cause, because women are not realizing men are not looking for you. If you're having a hard time finding somebody or meeting someone, men aren't looking for you with your breasts out and your behind showing. And then you wondering, next thing you know,
Well,
we've had like two or three deaths
not
already back to back.
even a man is not looking for them. No. But a predator, you're exactly the main target. And what
Right.
he's going to do is get in your inbox and he's going to make you feel like you're the only girl in the world. But, just to tell you this, women with online dating, oh my gosh. I have been getting so many calls just on social media of people DM me saying things that occur to them from different dating sites. And I'm seeing a pattern here. And I don't know how this pattern is connecting. But a lot of business women who are supposed to be very smart are being lured by these men that are setting them up, and they are sodomizing these women on the first date, and knowing that they won't tell anyone because they are doctors, they're lawyers, they're big in their community of a woman's empowerment. And these women are contacting me and they're crying, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the fourth one in 1 month. What is exactly going on? And three of them live in a different city. So I really am just in awe about getting out how we need to take our safety into our hands of how to protect your assets. And a lot of people go with protecting your business. You're out there, you're doing business, and you don't care about anything else but you're making the money. But if you're dead, how are you going to spend it?
Okay. These are the
So
things that we don't think about as women.
exactly.
So
And
I
we
want to
have
make
to
sure
know
that,
all men are not happy because of our success that we keep flaunting in front of them.
well, like in a lot, and like you said, a real man's gonna tell you. I actually would like for that to be seen when it's time for me to see it. I don't want everybody else to see it on social media.
That part. And, that's what mothers used to instill in their little girls, the morals and values. My mom had 6 girls at one time, and everybody used to say, oh my gosh, you're going to have a house full of babies. My mom's like, I can show you better than I can tell you. And nobody's getting on birth control pills until they're out of my house and able to get on the pills by themselves. And they're not even going on dates by themselves. Everybody has a partner in this family. If one girl, other girl's not going on a date with you, then you're not going.
And that was also a safe way that your mother looked at it. Believe it or not, we don't look at that till later on. Why come she always got to come with me? I bet it
That
was a blessing that you came together.
Exactly. It truly indeed was a blessing. And a lot of my values and thinking on things of rescuing these girls and letting different women and girls live with me is because my mom always had somebody living with us. And either it was my older sister friend, and of course I was too young to ask questions like, why is she staying here with us? Why we got to have her staying there, not knowing that she was abused at home. She's
Mhm.
waiting for another cousin to come and pick her up. My mom is the central location. So my mom kept them and allowed them to stay with us until it was time for them to go on. So, I bring that story up a lot to young people to let them know there are different ways that you can do that. But there are a lot of girls that are running away, staying with different families during the day and go stay with a boy at night. and you know that they have run away, you've seen their flyers on social media, and you allow them to stay with you, you're committing a crime. So if someone say they're running away because of something at home, tell them, okay, I know you're running away, but let's talk to my mom and dad and tell them that you've run away. So my mom and dad probably can call your mom and dad and see how we all can help each other. Or not call the mom and dad, may need to call law enforcement. But you got to let another adult know why that friend is staying the night. And parents, you have to ask, did your mom say it's okay for you to stay here? Pick up the phone and call that parent. You know, so many kids are missing now and been missing for so long because the parents never checked to see if they were really going to stay with the little friend, girlfriend that they were supposed to stay at. Parents, I'm going to need you to do a whole lot better.
I never did really think about that. That a lot of times when they say, "Well, I'm going to go stay with somebody," and you think you see this person every day, and you think that that's all right. So I
Right.
tell you, well, Investigator Cleveland, we're about to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, I want you to talk to us a little bit about the Better Me mentoring program. Give Ron some insight on that when we return. All right, glad you're all back. We're still shining and chiming. And I tell you what, we just, before we left off, we talked about the Better Me mentoring program. I want to know a little bit more about that, please.
The Better Me was a program that I just went out to speak to the girls about behavior and use of the cell phone. That cell
Mm.
phone is become an addiction, just like a drug to young people. They do temper tantrums, they have fights with their parents, and even as we've seen the headlines, some of them kill their parents because they take the cell phone away. So I just went to Better Me mentoring organization to talk to the youth of that group. And it was amazing to see how many of those girls, as I talk about the addiction of the cell phone, ask them if their parents set limits on their cell phone. None of them had limits set on their cell phones.
My goodness.
So I offered them if you could limit yourself on your phone for 2 weeks, and your parents told me that you set your phone away for 2 hours at a time for you to limit your use on social media, I would give them a gift. But I have a nonprofit organization called It's On Me Too. And It's On Me Too is a nonprofit organization for women and girls to let them know that it's on you too to learn ways to protect yourself. Women and girls are the most marginalized people in the world. Most of the crimes that are committed in this world are on women and girls. So
Hmm.
it's on you to learn ways to protect yourself. It's not on your job to protect you while you're at work. It's not on the schools to fully protect you while you're at their school. You need to learn ways on yourself that you can protect yourself.
Hmm. So that's some good stuff. I got to tell you that for sure. So, Investigator Cleveland, when you were not involved in these activities, many that you love and keep you busy, what do Mrs. Chandra Cleveland do herself?
Oof. When I wasn't in law enforcement and doing all of this, because I've been doing this now ever since I started law enforcement. So that's 35 plus years. But before that, I've been a professional model, started at a young age, traveled around the world, and then came back here and was taking care of my mom and started law enforcement. And I've been doing this longer than almost half of the time that I've been alive. So still love fashion. I still love tea. I have tea time all the time. I love having just refreshing, relaxing time to just listen to music and to be grateful for my life, health, and wealth. that I endure, and always take time to reflect, reorganize, and refresh.
Okay. Well, I tell you, I see you attended and were involved in, I think you mentioned earlier, the Women's Empowerment Program. What was that experience
Yes.
like for you? What did it involve?
Well, I have been a speaker at the Women's Empowerment since its creation for 7 years now. So I'm usually the co-MC of Cynthia Hardy's show. I usually work at the booth, and also I usually teach a self-defense or something about women's safety during the event. But this year I did not teach a class. I stayed at the booth and interviewed a lot of people who came through and made sure that people were aware of the different seminars that were taking place at the Women's Conference. The Women's Conference is a great organization. It is great for women to come there. They learn a whole lot about different things by being at the Women's Conference. So I am just glad to be a part of it each year.
Like you said, next time though, you actually will be the first person to get this organized. There should be a girls, young women conference.
Don't tell my secret. I'm already working on that. And it is going to be an annual event for a girls conference, and mothers are welcome to come for those who may be too young to drive and be there by themselves, because it's not us fixing little girls or teenagers. We have to fix the parents, because sometimes we have mothers out there who just don't know how to be mothers. There is not that home economic thing anymore that teach you how to sew, how to cook, how to get an extra craft. So we need to be there for the mothers who are really having a hard time of getting the family together. To let them know that mental health is a real disease, and you need to notice it and how to notice it. And social media is a real disease, and cell
Yes.
phones are
They
a real disease.
they say that this cell phone is a chip in our hand, and they're absolutely right. But I tell you what, I do have something very, very important coming up. Y'all know exactly what this is. This is going to be Ask Bronze. It's coming up. But before that, I just want y'all to know Chandra is known to be a straight shooter for information. Okay? So if you don't want to know the truth, what she say?
Don't ask.
So, ladies, did you know she is tough? I heard you, honey. Well, saving the best for last, it's that time. Ask Bronze. Who do we have on the line right now, please?
Hello, my name is Betty Banks, and I'm from Arkansas. And I have four questions for Braun. The first one is, what do you call a person or persons who traffic victims? Number two is, how do a person convince a person to get involved in human trafficking? Three, what are the characteristics of a human trafficking victim? And my last question would be, how do you deprogram the victim? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Betty Banks. I tell you, you asked quite a bit of questions at one time. So, Investigator Cleveland, she gave it to us, honey. So, what
She
is your
gave it to
input?
us, and she gave us all the right things that I teach on a daily. You really need to know that a person who's trafficking another victim, that's trafficking a young girl, is called a trafficker.
Mm,
That's the title that we have for them. Um, how to get involved? To get involved is to be very safely getting involved. Take notes, take pictures. I always tell people, don't allow the smartphone to use you. You use it. So take pictures, take detail of timing, descriptions of the people and cars and license tags. And also, if you're eating in a restaurant or in a mall and you see a young girl dressed very inappropriately with a guy, you might want to take a picture of that and bring that to someone's attention, or either call the sex trafficking hotline at 1-888-373-7888.
give us that.
The
Give us that
next,
number again. Give us that number again,
um,
just in case.
Okay, I'll give it to you again at the end. Three
Great,
seven
great,
three
great.
seven eight eight three. I'm gonna make sure I have the right number
Okay,
because I've been
yeah,
calling out so many numbers today.
great,
And
great,
then
great.
secondly, you put in there, um, how do a young girl get involved with a trafficker when the traffickers say things that they want to hear, when the trafficker buy things for her that she always wanted. This is so important that I'm always telling everyone. And I tell parents, of course, because I didn't understand it when my mom told me. And it wasn't a trafficking issue back then. Well, we probably didn't call it that. But my mom never allowed me to take anything from anyone because she said anyone who gives a child something is wanting something in return.
Mm.
So a lot of young girls come home, they have fresh jewelry, they have new shoes, they have their nails done, they have their hair done. Yet the parents don't even open their mouths to ask them, where did you get that from? And so that's how they get involved, telling them they love them, Romeotizing the girls, giving them what they think they want. The next thing you said, how do you deprogram a girl who's been sex trafficking? This is where I have to take a breath because you have to deprogram them very slowly. A girl who has been sex trafficked will enter back into sex trafficking at least twice during the time of her first rescue from it.
Oh my goodness.
And you ask why? Because they feel that that person loves them. They have developed the Stockholm Syndrome, is what we call it. And so the Stockholm Syndrome is something that they begin loving the person who trafficked them
Okay,
because that person.
we're gonna have to. I don't want to cut you off, but we have to take a quick
Okay,
commercial break. But guess what? You said the Stockham. What is it called? The Stockham.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome. So when we return, we're gonna pick right back up in the Stockholm Syndrome. Honey, let me tell you again, this is lots of information, some hot stuff, baby. It's that time to take a quick commercial break, but we will be right back. Investigator Cleveland, I tell you, honey, we got this thing rolling. Y'all just keep on shining and chiming. We'll be right back. Welcome back, fans. Welcome back. I've been delighted to have investigator Chandra Cleveland here in the house with us tonight. She's sharing us some good information. So we left off on that last segment. We want to pick back up to make sure that we don't miss nothing. Go ahead. Go ahead, investigator. Give it to us.
Yeah, I say the reason why they go back is because they have the Stockholm syndrome connected to their trafficker. That means that they develop a love, a kindship, a hate love relationship that he's saying, you are my number one girl, so you're going to stay with me. I want you to come back to me. We didn't make as much money if you're not with us. So, those type of things are how they come back to the trafficker. So deprogramming them will take a lot of sometimes even taking them out of the area. And one thing that people say, why can't we help or notify or notice these victims of sex trafficking? The main reason why is that some of them don't even recognize that they are being trafficked.
Wow.
They think that they are the number one girl and this is a part of what they do. But when you're underage, you cannot commit or participate in commercial sale of sex. Plain and simple.
And sometimes it's what they've been wanting to hear from at
Mm-hmm.
home, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not getting it. Sometimes
Exactly.
that trafficker may be replacement. I love you. You're so beautiful. If you don't hear these things at home,
Right.
you hear that out in the street, because that's what a lot of girls just want to be told at that age, that
Exactly.
they're beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
that somebody loves them. That's the reason
Mm-hmm.
why it's important for parents to have that relationship with their children. They're not just saying that for nothing. You're not. There's 24 hours in a day. You can
Right.
take at least an hour to tell your child that you love them, to spend that time with the child, to find out what type of day that they're having. You need to know these days, like you say, this is their best friend. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't talk to them, somebody on this phone will, and it sometimes could
I
be the
sure
wrong
will.
person. So I tell
Yes.
you, you laid it out there now. I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you.
So, and again, if you know anything or suspect that a young girl may be sex trafficked, the phone number is 888 373 7888. That is the sex trafficking hotline. Again, that is 888 373 7888.
That's very important. I want everybody to ensure that they get that number because believe it or not, there's somebody out there's a victim. These girls just ain't
Mhm.
popping up missing for nothing. Please
Yes.
talk to your children. So
Mhm.
I have to tell you, I have been delighted having you here on the show. Investigator Chanara Cleveland, it has really been a blessing. You shared your expertise on sex trafficking, domestic violence, online dating, teen dating violence, data footprints, okay, and self-defense of women and girls. What exactly is data footprints? I just want to know.
Data footprints is something that you leave every time you touch your cell phone and computer.
Hmm, okay. And so that's
Mhm.
like I tell you, I watch a lot of forensic files. So I'm trying to see how this investigating it works out. And so I'm
Yes.
telling you, I am just delighted. I'm so happy that you joined us tonight. But before you go, could you please share your social media, any contact information? I really appreciate the fact that you left that sex trafficking hotline there. Because like I said, we got some victims out there. We got somebody that's listening, that trust me,
Mhm.
that needed this show. If you would mind sharing with them your information, because we need our women and girls to stay connected. Because you know what? We are all in this together for one
Yes, we
another.
are. Yes. I am on Twitter as Investigator Cleveland, IMV Cleveland, Cleveland. I am on Facebook as Investigator Chanara Cleveland, and I'm also on Instagram as Investigator Cleveland, and I am also on YouTube as Investigator Cleveland. And I will be airing a new show on YouTube called Unfortunate Victims, which will air on Monday nights, the first Monday of the month. And it would have different stories about girls who were sex trafficked or victims of whatever crime, women or girls that need your help to solve the crimes. And our website is www.itsonmetoo.org. Again, that is www.itsonmetoo, the number 2.org. And our phone number is area code 803 897 7008.
A lot of important numbers. Well, before we go, I do have some words of wisdom. Chandra's beliefs. Our prime purpose in life is to help others. But if you won't help them, at least don't hurt them.
Exactly.
Those are my words of wisdom tonight. Okay. Anything else that you'd like to share with our women, with our young adults, as well as I would say, yeah, young adults, our children, as well as our men before we leave the show? This has been some good stuff, honey.
Well, if you ever need me to come to speak to your group or children or school, you can book me also on the site. I would love to be a part of educating them on how to keep safe.
And it's absolutely wonderful. Well, I tell you, remember, anytime you want to be heard, give us a call. Don't be shy. Ask Bronze 407-476-9059, 407-476-9059. And remember, just state your name, where you're from. You ask the question, we're definitely going to try to give you the answer. My input on something that Betty Banks said again, these women are not possibly getting the attention that they need at home, or they're being influenced by social media. Please, please speak to your children, especially your girls, on a day-to-day basis. Because remember, at one time, you were a young girl. They just need
Right.
to know. You agree, investigator?
I totally agree. Yes.
I tell you, that is just so, so important. And I just want everybody to know it is a blessing that you were here with us. I definitely want you to come back. The information that you shared will be on the site. It will be heard because, again, there is someone out here that always needs this information. Investigator Cleveland, please come back someday and join me. Bronze B would love to have you.
I will. Thank you so much for having me. Keep
Thank
doing
you
the
for
work that
joining.
you're doing.
And you know what? You keep it up too because it's a blessing to look on your page and see the many, many women. I see you were doing some cat defense, teaching
Mhm.
them how to fight. They need to learn
Yes.
how to fight. Put that cell phone down. Just
Yes.
get some snaps of you in action, protecting yourself, protecting your
Yes.
mother. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, you said it was 6 girls. Was it 6 girls or 7 girls and one boy? How many of y'all was it?
6 girls and one boy.
6 girls and one boy, honey. That's a whole lot of women that he had to protect. So guess what? You had it in your mind. You got to protect yourself. That was a true, true
Yes.
blessing. Everything
Yes.
happens for a reason.
It
Well,
does.
until next time, every Monday night at 8 p.m. here on GKI Radio, I come to you very long and strong. This is Bronze Beauty. We love you. Good night. Smooches.